Yes, we are. Yep. So you can grab a copy of the text and then also one paper if you need. Otherwise, there will be a text box behind us. Again, as you guys are coming in, if you want to look at our instructions up on the board or on the screen. Today is the 29th.
Who did that? Guys, I'm scared.
This is a break.
That's the song. So this is Corey, this is the song. No.
Don't do that.
No, we're not. Alright, Damaris. Damaris, this is boy Corey. Corey, this is Damaris.
No.
In here? Oh, no, it wasn't. We played it. I'm with Damaris. Wait, what about the front cue? Damaris? Holy shit.
Now.
No, them three? Oh, yes, yes, that's right.
I would never date if you drive a race car.
What about you would never date a dude? Did you ever think about that?
No, I didn't. You gotta be kidding me. No, because one day I totally, one day I just woke up and was like, no, I'm gonna start liking you.
No, you cannot help him. No helping. He's an independent person. He's not grabbing. He was talking mad crap about you.
Bro, what? I'm back. Who missed me?
Thanks, sister.
No, thank you.
I should. How are you doing?
You go like that. Yes.
All right.
So, we have instructions up front.
We did switch seats last Monday, so let me remind you.
All right.
Self-Reliance, which is on the side page. And we have another quick right on the back board. The quick right. So you need it. All right. I need voices down. So, you either put the quick right on paper.
I'm gonna do a quick right
Go over there. Or there's a module labeled Self-Reliance. Underneath it has the text of the question, and then underneath it has the submission. We are going to take 5 minutes to work on the quick right. Monday, I previewed it with you, so you should already have been thinking about it a bit. The prompt is, think about a place, object, or entity that has become such a normal part of your life that you do not think about it much anymore. So for example, you might think about your bedroom, or your cell phone, or walking, describe it in detail and what it means to you personally. And then you need to think about, would other people think of it in the same way? So this should be 3 to 6 complete sentences. So you're describing the place, object, or activity and what it means to you personally, and then you're thinking about whether other people would think about it in the same way. We're going to take 5 minutes for that.
Just something sentimental.
It can be anything that's a normal part of your life.
So think about something that you use every single day, or a place you go, an action you do every single day that when you do it, it's just like autopilot. Right? You don't have to think about, or don't have to think about it. It just comes naturally. All right. You guys want to get on to the way? For grabbing that one. You want to grab
So like you said, we have speakers and then we have We have 3 more minutes on the quick write. Quiet voices. We're all working individually right now, so there should not be any talking going on. One more minute on the quick write, and then we are going to look at our text for today. All right, start wrapping up your ideas. We are going to start turning in our prompts to the 5th period tray. And when you turn them in, you have an opportunity to grab a copy of the worksheet that we're going to be doing. There is a paper version over by the tray, and there is a digital version on Canvas. So we are finishing up our quick write, We are turning them in either on paper or digitally, and we are getting a copy of the worksheet.
Again, make sure your name is on your quick write as well. Make sure your name is on your page for your quick write.
Stop harassing me. Yeah, let's go. You want me to turn that in for you? Alright, I'll put your name on it too. Yo, Steve, go ahead and grab it. Can I take one of mine?
No.
Remember those times when you record on the bus?
It's not good.
Was alright.
No, I think you need to grab
Take it so that I can have one.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she did.
They're not hers. They're mine.
You just.
Wait, what's you?
The pretzels.
No.
All right. Right now, you should be working on putting your papers in the turn-in tray. I am not going to interject for most of this lesson since it is Miss DeYoung who is leading us, but I need you guys to put away cell phones. Phones should not be out. You should be finishing up your quick writes, and you should not be talking across tables. I don't know why we're talking across 3 tables at once. Okay? You got people at your own table to talk to when there comes a time for talking.
So, does anybody not have a version of the worksheet and Self-Reliance in front of them right now? All right, perfect. So, if you recall, on Thursday, we learned about who Ralph Waldo Emerson is. He was a transcendentalist poet, lecturer, and essayist. And on Monday, we read through one of his many essays, Nature. Today, we're going to be reading through a second one of his essays, reading excerpts from Self-Reliance. Does anybody remember anything about nature from Monday? The essay Nature.
The beautiful leaves outside.
Does anybody remember Emerson's main argument in it? Yeah?
The nature is like can be a soothing, calm place as long as you are like interested in it enough to let it control you.
Right, that's a good point. Nature can be soothing and calm, but you need to be in the right mindset for it. So in the essay Nature, Emerson really tapped into the transcendentalist ideal of the spirituality of nature. In this essay, he's going to tap into the idea of self-reliance. Who remembers what self-reliance is in the context of the transcendentalist? Think about that word, self-reliance. What does it mean to be self-reliant?
Self-reliance doesn't mean like you don't depend on anyone.
You don't depend on anyone. Right. So you depend on yourself for everything. You trust in yourself. You're confident in yourself. So we are going to see in this essay why Emerson holds this belief and what it means for him. All right? So I'm going to be reading through the essay, and I'm going to be pausing so that we can talk about it and answer questions. What you need to do as I'm reading is to look at your copy of Self-Reliance and read along. All right? So let's begin. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that he must take himself for better, for worse, as his portion. That though this wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground, which is given to him to till. The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do. Nor does he know until he has tried. Not for nothing, one face, one character, one fact makes much impression on him, and another none. This sculpture in the memory is not without pre-established harmony. the eye was placed where one ray should fall, that it might testify to that particular ray. All right. So we're going to look at question number 1. We're looking for the thesis statement in Self-Reliance. Can anyone identify what the thesis statement is in what we just read?
And thesis, if you're not familiar with that word, is like the main idea. What is the main idea he's trying to get across in the first part of this paragraph?
That's right. The thesis statement is the sentence in an essay that tells you what the rest of that essay is going to be about. Can anybody identify the thesis statement in what we read?
He feels like nature gives him power.
What's that?
He feels like nature gives him power.
He does feel like nature gives him power. We're looking for a particular sentence in what we read, though. I just only read about 3 sentences, so you have a 33% chance of being correct.
Can you highlight them actually on the screen so we can see where it is?
All right. So,
Out of
Emerson's thesis statement is, the power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. So for question number 1, we're going to be trying to rewrite this sentence in our own words. So who has an idea of what it might mean? What does he mean in this sentence? Anybody have an idea? All right, so let's look at the text that's surrounding it. Emerson starts off the essay by giving some of the logic behind his thesis. Let's see what he says. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that he must take himself for better, for worse, as his portion. That although the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. So he starts off by saying, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide. What does that mean? What is he trying to convey in those 2 statements? Does he think that we should all be the same or that we should be different?
Be different.
Be different, right. So, first he's saying we should all be different and that it's foolish to try to be the same. Then he goes on to say, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. What does that mean? What is he trying to get people to do with that statement?
Wait, which statement again?
This section here, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil. Does he think that we should expect things to be given to us, or that we should work for them?
He's basically saying that like you have to work for it because at the time he said no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him.
That's right. All right, we're going to lower our voices because we all need to be paying attention. All right. So, he starts off by saying we should not compare ourselves to others. He then goes on to say we should not rely on others for what we're given. We should only care about who we are and what we do. So if we look back to that thesis statement, the power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. So who can reword that in more modern language? Let's just start with this first part. The power which resides in him is new in nature, the power which resides in him is new in nature. What would that be in modern English?
you can take out the reside, the power that's in him is new nature.
Right. So, if something is new, that means it's unique, right? So, the power that is within a person is unique. Let's look at the second half. And none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. What would that be in modern English? What's a simplified way of saying that? None but he knows that what that is which he can do.
No one else knows what the person is capable of doing.
Exactly. No one else knows what you're capable of. So, if we were to simplify this thesis, we could say, the power inside a person is unique to them, and nobody else knows what they're capable of. So we're going to take a minute to work on question number 1, and then we're going to keep going.
Okay, so she said that the power of each person is unique to them, and it's something that no one else knows except for them, and they don't even know it until they try, right? They have to make the effort before they can know what they can do. Right? That's what she said. So you're putting this in your own words for question 1.
So what Emerson is arguing in this essay, that everything is going to revolve around, is that the power within a person is unique to them, and nobody else knows what they are capable of. All right. It looks like we are mostly good on question 1, so we're going to move on.
And then if you want to maybe highlight where you're at in the paragraph so we can see where you're picking up.
We are going to start here, down to the bottom of the paragraph. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. It may be safely trusted as proportionate and of good issue. So it be faithfully imparted. But God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. A man is relieved and gay when he has put his heart into his work and done his best. But what he has said or done otherwise shall give him no peace. It is a deliverance which does not deliver. In the attempt, his genius deserts him. No muse befriends, no invention, no hope. All right. So we just talked about how Emerson believes in the importance of the individual. And now we're seeing a little bit of his elaboration on why that is. He's going into more detail. So if we look at the idea that everyone has a divine idea within them. He's talking about an inherent goodness. So everyone at their core is good. Now, not everybody shares that perspective. For example, when we we read about the Puritans, if we think about Goodman Brown, what would Hawthorne say is at the core of every person? Would he say goodness or something else? What is the opposite of goodness?
Badness.
Badness. What's another word for that? Evil. Right. So the Puritans believed that every person is inherently evil, has sinfulness. Emerson is a transcendentalist. They believe that everyone at their core has at least an element of goodness in them. That connects to that idealism belief. Right? So we are unique, we are good. And then we have this statement. But God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. So we have that goodness inside of us. But something needs to happen for it to come out. In Emerson's perspective, what would a coward be? I like that. Someone who is dependent and conforms to society. So, Emerson is saying that in order for that goodness, that potential within you to come out, you cannot be a coward and conform to society. Now, another interesting thing about this is he talks about God a lot in this paragraph. Who remembers what job Emerson had before he was a lecturer? Yeah?
Wait,
He had a couple.
wasn't he like a head principal of like an all-girls school?
Yes. He was a headmaster of an all-girls school. I believe it was a religious school. Another job he had was as a Unitarian preacher. So, he moved away from that job after his wife died. But that doesn't mean he completely gave up the idea of God. Rather, he gave up the idea of organized religion. So, he still believes in some higher power. He just doesn't want to have the societal aspect of it. All right. Let's go to paragraph 2. Trust thyself. Every heart reverberates to that string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Great men have always done so and confided themselves childlike to the genius of their age, betraying their perception that the absolutely trustworthy was seated at their heart, working through their hands, predominating in all their being. We are now men, and must accept in the highest mind the same transcendent destiny, and not minors and invalids in a protected corner, not cowards fleeing before a revolution, but guides, redeemers, and benefactors, obeying the almighty effort and advancing on chaos and the dark. All right. If you were to define self-reliance in 2 words, it would be these. Trust thyself. He is saying it is core to every single person. Every heart vibrates onto that string, that you need to trust yourself. And he's elaborating a bit more on that idea that he brought up earlier, that every person has potential. He's saying in this paragraph that everyone has what he calls a transcendent destiny. Who knows what destiny is? Your fate, right. The idea that you have a destiny is the idea that you have a fate, a predetermined fate, or that you have a grander mission as part of your life. So, Emerson believes that everyone has that, but we must do what in order to achieve our destiny? What does Emerson want people to do to achieve their destiny? Emerson want everyone to do to achieve their destiny? Self-reliance. Exactly. Thank you. All right. So, he also believes that this is a really important thing for us. We're going to be obeying.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
That's not good.
There we go.
It's annoying if you hover the mouse over the very bottom, a giant tab pulls up. So you just avoid the
So this is an important thing for us to do. It's given to us by God. We are fighting against chaos and darkness. So this is something that matters a lot to us. Let's look at paragraph 2. These are the voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and inaudible as we enter into the world. Society everywhere is in a conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. So, we know in our hearts that we have a great destiny, but when we actually live within a society, we start to lose sense of that destiny. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most requests is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. All right. So, Emerson contrasts two things here. He contrasts the idea of self-reliance against what? Emerson is contrasting two things here. So he has this idea of self-reliance, and then he has what actually happens. We have society, right? So if every person is an individual, most of the time they are going to give up that individuality by entering into a group. And does he think that this is a good thing or a bad thing? Bad thing. Why is that a bad thing in his eyes? What is bad about giving up your individuality?
You won't be.
You're becoming dependent. You're conforming. So, if we look at question 3, thank you, question 2. Paragraph 3, question 2. What is one benefit and one drawback of living in a large society that Emerson describes? In your opinion, what is one other benefit and one other drawback? Be specific. He has this important line near the end of the paragraph. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree, for the better securing of his bread, to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. The virtue in most requests is conformity. So he's saying, to better secure his bread, to get your necessities, your food, your shelter, you give up your liberty and your culture and conform. So this shows another transcendental belief, idealism. He's more concerned about how you are as a person and what is inside than your physical necessities. So, for question number 2.
Can I interject here real quick?
Yeah.
With that comparison of, he says society is a joint stock company. Do you guys know what that means? That's a term we don't really see, and it's kind of antiquated language. Joint stock company.
That'd be like two partners.
Yeah, we see that word joint where like two things are coming together. So it's kind of what we think of as like the stock market today. That's just kind of an old term for it. So if we have this joint stock company where if you buy a share, you're part owner of the company, right? That's how you would make money off of stocks. He's saying society is just like that. So instead of being individuals and having one person own the company, when we're part of society, all of us are working together to make sure that everything is going well, right? The shareholders in a company all want the company to succeed, just like we all want society to succeed, right? We're going to work together to make sure everyone is taken care of. So that second line there on page 2, right, for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, right? Just saying each person who's part of society is working together to make sure everyone is taken care of, okay? So So you're looking at question number 2, benefits and downfalls of being part of society.
Okay. So
Okay.
you need to find a benefit and drawback Emerson described, and then come up with a benefit and drawback of your own. We're going to take a few minutes to work on that. Can you turn up the airplane? Alright, we're going to take one more minute and then we're going to continue on.
Yeah, you just can't close the lid.
Alright, I'm hearing a lot of talking, so I'm going to assume we're ready to go on to the next paragraph. Paragraph 4. Who would be a man must be a nonconformist. Alright, voice this down. Voice this down. Who as would be a man must be a nonconformist. Who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore it to be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have suffrage of the world. So this is kind of a strange phrase, gather immortal palms. What he means by that is continuing praise, forever praise. A palm, as in the palm leaf, is historically a symbol of reverence. So he is saying, if you want to be remembered forever, to be praised forever, you must not what? Be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore it to be goodness. The name of goodness. What is a name? It describes something, right? But it isn't really that thing. I can say this is a chair, but that's really just words. This physical thing is the chair. But we have words to describe it, which are slightly different. These are kind of abstract ideas that the transcendentalists were thinking about at the time. So he's saying some things have been called goodness, but it is up to you to what? Explore it to be goodness. So you're not just trusting what people call goodness. You are yourself evaluating whether you think it is good. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. What does he mean by the integrity of your own mind? What is integrity? Has anyone heard that word before, integrity? Yeah?
Don't know what it means.
All right. So you've heard it before, you don't know what it means. That's all right. There are a couple different meanings of integrity. Integrity can be the upstandingness, the goodness of yourself. But it can also be the strength of something. So he is saying, nothing is sacred but the strength of your own mind. Let's look at question number 3. Where does Emerson put his trust? How do the details of his later life demonstrate how relying on that can go wrong? Emerson is saying in this paragraph, don't trust what people have told you is good. What you need to trust is your own determination of what is good, what you believe is good. The integrity of your own mind. And if we think back to what we learned in the Emerson biography on Thursday, does anyone remember what the end of his life was like? Near the end of Emerson's life, he stopped public speaking because he started having trouble with his memory. So I want you to think about, considering what he puts his trust in, why would that be very difficult for him, to be losing your memory? We're going to take a bit to work on that question. One more minute on that question, and we're going to move on. All right. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great fool has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradicts everything you said today. Ah, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is that so bad then, to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. All right, so he uses this word consistency. When he uses that word, he means essentially having a single idea about something, especially one that society has crafted. And we know from his previous words, he thinks what about the opinions of society? Does he think, wow, I want to adopt all society's opinions? Or does he go, no thank you?
He says no thank you.
No thank you. So he is saying, if you adopt consistency, if you just blindly accept everything, you have a little mind. You're a fool. And he gives examples of people he thinks are great minds for questioning things. Pythagoras was a mathematician. Socrates was a philosopher. Jesus is obviously an important religious figure in Christianity. Luther is another figure who helped develop the Christian church. Copernicus declared that the earth revolves around the sun. Galileo discovered gravity. What did Galileo do?
It's a great question. I think he was something with geography. I don't remember what.
I believe he was an astronomer. And Newton discovered gravity. So, he's saying, no matter what people say about you, what is important is that you are making your own decisions. All right. So that brings us self-reliance. Let's look at the after reading questions on the back of the paper. What is the main all right, I need voices down.
I didn't do it.
What is the main transcendentalist belief that Emerson displays in Self-Reliance? Use text evidence to support your reasoning and compare this to the worldview of the Puritans. All right, so if we think about, these are the 5 ideals, the 5 beliefs, the 5 pillars of the Transcendentalists. Nonconformity, self-reliance, free thought, idealism, and the importance and spirituality of nature. Out of these 5, which one does Emerson talk the most about in this essay? And then you need to pull text evidence from the essay to prove why that is the main belief.
Since we have like 2 minutes left for right now, if you want to, before you close your document, identify which of those 5 you think he's talking the most about. We'll do the last half of question 4, making sure we've got text evidence and your explanation, and we'll do question 4 together, or I'm sorry, question 5 together tomorrow, okay? So right now, again, before you leave, before you put any papers anywhere, choose which of those 5 is the one that you think he's talking the most about in this essay, okay? And you can write that for question 4, okay? As you're finishing up, if you put your paper in this turn-in tray, I will pass back those papers that are in the turn-in tray. Otherwise, you can put it in a folder, but if it leaves this classroom, it is your responsibility to bring it back. Okay? If you
Fuck
bring
that
our
buck
copies
teeth
of our
ass
text
bitch.
over to the counter, that will be wonderful. Please make sure you borrowed a notebook or a charger that it gets back to where it belongs. If you borrowed a pencil.
That's very inspiring.
That's why. I don't know why.
Yeah, that hour long thing, I did it. Yeah, I did
Would the honors or you could let them do more of the answering. Have a good rest of your day, guys.